You're listening to How to Drink Less, and I'm your host, Adriana Cloud. Whether your goal is to cut back, take a break, or say goodbye to alcohol for good, this podcast will help you stop drinking on autopilot, learn how to manage cravings, and feel fully in control around alcohol. It's easier than you think. Listen on to find out how. Hi everyone, welcome back to How to Drink Less. I hope you've all had a fantastic holiday season and happy 2026. As we enter the new year, many people are thinking about goals and resolutions, and maybe some of you are thinking about doing dry January. Having tried dry January a couple of times myself, and having given up on it halfway through at least one of those times, I have some things that I want to say about dry January. First of all, let's talk about why we do dry January. I'll tell you why I tried to do it back in the day, because I wanted to prove to myself that I could take a break from drinking. In my head, if I could manage to stay alcohol-free for 30 days, that would mean I didn't really have a drinking problem. Surely someone with an actual drinking problem couldn't possibly manage a month sober. But the problem with that logic is that, first of all, it doesn't hold up if we really scrutinize it. Someone could absolutely manage to take time off drinking and still have a difficult relationship with alcohol, wherein they don't trust themselves to be around it or to say no when they're offered it, where they're obsessively thinking about it, or they're even scared of it. So abstinence alone doesn't prove anything. Second of all, if your only goal is to not drink for 30 days, that's all you're really doing. You're not drinking for 30 days. And don't get me wrong, of course, there are immediate benefits to your physical health if you take a break for 30 days. The exact results vary from person to person, but most people experience some combination of the following: improved sleep, reduced anxiety, more stable energy levels, improved digestion and faster metabolism, better looking skin, and potentially fewer food cravings and more stable appetite. And there are also benefits that are not as easily measurable, but real nonetheless, such as reduced inflammation and a stronger immune system. And on the cognitive side of things, most people have better mental focus and less brain fog. So, yes, taking a break from drinking for 30 days is its own benefit. But if you're someone who wants a different relationship with alcohol in the long term, one 30-day break is not going to dramatically change your drinking habits. For most people, what happens is that as soon as they get to February 1, they go right back to drinking the same way that they were drinking before dry January. And in fact, from my own personal experience, I'll share that the 1 year I did manage to make it to February 1 without drinking, I then went on to drink even more the first week of February because I thought that I had earned it. Since I had gone a whole month without drinking, I felt that I now deserved to let loose. You can see once again the questionable logic here, because whatever benefits I'd experienced from taking a break, I quickly went on to undo the minute the month was over. So that's one thing to think about: your reasons for doing dry January and what you're actually trying to accomplish. As always, I'm not going to tell you what to do or what's the correct reason to want to do something, but I do want you to think about whether you like your reason for choosing to participate in this challenge, if indeed that's what you decide to do. The next thing I want you to think about is, what's your goal at the end of the month? This might sound like the same question as, why are you doing dry January in the first place? But it's not the same question. Because what you want to have accomplished at the end of the month will determine how you show up during the challenge and how you define success. If your only goal is to have a string of sober days, then the only way to succeed in the challenge is if you make it to February 1st without drinking, right? Which means that if you happen to slip up on January 8th or January 21st and you have one beer because you were out with friends and had FOMO, then you probably tell yourself that you failed and you will throw in the towel and give up on the whole challenge. It's a very all or nothing way of looking at it, isn't it? And again, you are welcome to do that if you want to. You can absolutely set yourself the goal of 31 sober days in a row. But what I would recommend instead is that you think about what you want to learn and what skills you might want to practice. For example, maybe you want to better understand why hanging out with your coworkers requires drinking, or why brunch doesn't feel complete without a mimosa. Or maybe you want to practice relaxing without wine in the evening. You see how these goals are very different from a pass-fail challenge, right? If you're focused only on whether or not you drank that day, at the end of January, at best, you'll be able to say that you were able to abstain for 31 days. But if your goal is to better understand your drinking habit and you wanted to practice not drinking in a particular situation, that deeper awareness and those skills are something that you can carry forward with you into February and beyond. Let me put it another way. If your only goal for January is to stay sober, the only skill you're really practicing is saying no to alcohol, which usually involves hiding from alcohol so you're not tempted, or relying on willpower if you do happen to be around alcohol. You're practicing muscling your way through your cravings, so even if you are successful, at the end of the challenge, that's all you've done. You have managed to resist temptation. Whereas if you approach Dry January as an opportunity to better understand your relationship with alcohol and why you drink in the first place, you're in a much better place to change your drinking habits in the long term, if that is what you actually desire. But even if you're mostly happy with how much you drink, and you're not necessarily looking to cut back long term, understanding why alcohol feels necessary in certain situations is still going to help you to drink more mindfully and to feel more in control around alcohol, which, in my book at least, is always a good thing. Next, I want to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when attempting Dry January. The first one is that they don't prepare. And that was me for sure. I had the best of intentions about completing Dry January, but beyond that, I hadn't really thought through what that would entail. Mostly, I was just hoping that I would somehow miraculously not want to drink, and that I would find it easy to say no because I'll be so motivated. That was my whole plan, wishful thinking, basically. Please don't do what I did. If you want to be successful, however you define success for yourself, it helps to actually plan for the month ahead. That includes deciding what you're going to drink instead of your usual alcoholic drinks, deciding what you're going to tell people who might ask you why you're not drinking, deciding how you're going to handle social pressure, and so on. And I want you to go a step further. Don't just plan for how you're going to stay dry on a good day when you're feeling calm and motivated. Plan for the worst case scenario, a Friday night when you've had a long week and you're exhausted and your kids are screaming at each other and the dog is sick. How will you take the edge off then if you would normally reach for a drink to calm yourself down? That's what I want you to plan for. The second big mistake people make is that they don't know how to deal with cravings. This starts with assuming that if you even have a craving, then you've already failed. The logic goes that if you've decided to take a break from drinking, you shouldn't even want to drink. But that's absolute nonsense, because that's not how habits and desire work. If you have trained your brain to anticipate a drink in certain situations, for example, at 6 p.m. when you start making dinner, or on Sunday afternoon when you're watching sports, then that anticipation becomes automatic. In other words, come 6 p.m., your brain will want the drink, even if you're fully on board with why you wanted to do Dry January. That's because motivation has nothing to do with this. This is not about your strength or your willpower or your commitment. Your brain is simply running the old habit loop that you've practiced again and again. The reframe I want to offer you is that cravings are completely normal. The craving itself is not a problem. The fact that you want to drink is not a problem. The more important question is, what do you do next? How do you respond to the craving? That's where having the right tools for managing cravings really helps. And the third big mistake I see people making is that they give up on dry January after one drink because they consider that a failure. Well, I've ruined it, might as well give up, is how it goes. But it doesn't have to be this way. And this is why it's so important to think about your reason for doing dry January and what you want to learn and practice during that challenge. Too many people approach it as an all or nothing kind of affair. Either I can do 30 sober days or I have failed completely. But what if you recommit to showing up again and again, even after a slip up? What if, instead of beating yourself up for quote unquote not having enough willpower to resist temptation, you lean into curiosity to understand why you found it hard to say no to a drink in a particular situation? That awareness is going to be a lot more useful to you in the long term than being able to say that you got to February 1 without a drop of alcohol touching your lips. So, if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, I get it, but how do I do that? What exactly am I supposed to do when I'm tired and overwhelmed and I know a glass of wine will make me feel better? How do I stay strong then? I've got you. This is exactly why I've created a new Dry January resource that I want to share with you. I'm calling it the Dry January Cheat Codes. It's not a pass-fail test, and it's not meant to be a challenge of your discipline or endurance. Instead, the cheat codes are a set of simple practical tools that you can use in real time. When cravings show up, when you're stressed, when others around you are drinking, or if you have a slip up and you're tempted to call the whole thing off and go back to drinking. And best of all, there are three versions of the cheat codes depending on how much support you're looking for. There's the essential version, which offers you help in the hardest moments with two key cheat codes: how to manage cravings and how to navigate slip ups. Then there's the deluxe version, which gives you 6 different cheat codes for support for the whole month and whatever might come up. These are how to set an intention for dry January, how to prepare ahead of time, how to manage cravings, how to navigate slip ups, how to relax without drinking, and how to have fun without drinking. And finally, if you're looking to go a little deeper, I'm also offering a deluxe deep dive edition, which includes all 6 cheat codes from the deluxe version, plus my digital book, 31 Questions to Change Your Relationship with Alcohol. These questions are designed to help you identify and challenge whatever beliefs you hold about drinking, about yourself, and about sobriety. It's hard to change something that you don't fully understand, and these prompts will help you to get to know yourself better and to take back your power over alcohol. The Dry January cheat codes are not generic wellness advice that you can get from a mediocre prompt to ChatGPT. I promise you that. These are practical tools based on the latest neuroscience research into how habits form in the brain and how to break automated behavior. And most importantly, the cheat codes deliver quick wins because you can use them immediately from the moment you download them, and you can see immediate results. You don't have to wait until the end of January to see a difference in your relationship with alcohol. With the Dry January cheat codes, the change starts today because when you have those codes, you know exactly how to stop cravings from turning into emergencies, how to plan ahead so future you isn't making decisions when exhausted, how to relax without numbing out, how to handle social pressure without awkward explanations, how to recover from slip-ups without spiraling, and how to have fun without alcohol being the main event. So, if you want Dry January to feel different this year, not like a test of your discipline, but like an opportunity to actually understand yourself and build some new skills, the Dry January cheat codes are there to support you. I will put the link in the show notes, so go and grab yours today. And please remember that Dry January is not about proving anything or trying to punish yourself into following the rules. It's about showing up with curiosity and exploring what works for you. This is where I will leave you for today. take good care of yourself, and I'll talk to you next week. If you're looking for practical advice for how to say no to alcohol and say yes to yourself, you will want to get on my email list. Sign up to receive my free guide with 7 steps to kickstart your sobriety. The link is in the show notes, so go and grab it now, and I'll see you soon in your inbox.